What's up, everyone? We are here for another portfolio review. Wait, this is a portfolio, right? Kind of? Okay, cool. I think this one's going to be a fun one to dive into. But this one is for Praveen. So, what I like to do, start off fresh. Let's do a hard refresh. Nope. That was actually a pretty quick load. Okay, cool. I would... okay, the load time is fine. Are there no images? Oh, I just didn't see them. I say it like there absolutely should be images, and that's not the case. I'm just used to portfolios having images, so everything loads pretty good. Things pretty optimized. Okay. Let's move on. Let's close this. All right, so desktop view. Design, code, blog. So you're a designer and you're a coder. What is this? Is this like a profile page? So this basically looks like a profile page. It looks like a bunch of contact links. It looks like you're just talking about your hobbies. I design and code. I'm a software engineer. So idea to implementation. Okay. And then you're talking about your current position. Engineering solutions. For me, okay, what is engineering solution? Well, I think I know what that is. We kind of had like a solutions engineer at our last company. That's not really coding. If it is, I don't think it speaks to that. Ecosystem interconnected application. That's not really coding. So that's fine. I think you're going to be seen as kind of a junior developer, but you didn't list junior developer, and I think that's really good. There's nothing about your experience that speaks to what you can do or the value you can provide. Like this looks like a description of your hobbies. I design and code, but I think it's fine to get personal about it. But you're like, yeah, I like to do design, I like to do code, but I have nothing to show. Do you? Do you have anything to show? Do you have any experience? And I'm being very, very critical here because I think people are immediately going to see a lack of experience here, and you need projects. Like that's basically my feedback. You need projects. There's nothing on here. There's no value you provide to people. If this is like a fun personal profile page for yourself, that's fine. I actually like how it looks, by the way. I design and code. I think you could use a little bit more spacing, like probably just here. A little bit more spacing between the text and the icon here. These are dropped, like these traditionally will tell a user that it will open up a bunch of new options or a list underneath it or some new section. So I think you meant this to be an arrow, but traditionally people will access it as if it's a drop-down list. That'll open up a new window, or not a new window, like a new section underneath it, a new piece of content. It doesn't do that. So I think these icons are misleading. It almost feels like you have a broken arrow. It just doesn't work. And then this goes to Instagram. Oh, it goes directly to Instagram. No. Open up in a new tab. If it's not your website, or it's not a link to another part of your website on the same domain, usually you're going to want to open it in a new tab. You never want to send the user entirely over to a different platform that you have very little control over. You want to think about the flow of your user, and I would almost assume if you give a direct link to your Instagram, I would expect the user not to come back. Almost every user, or your GitHub, or your Dribble, or your Twitter, LinkedIn, and I think that's the way you should be thinking about it. I really want to emphasize open it in a new tab so they still have the experience and they still have a flow they can go to get through your website. They shouldn't have to click the back button. That should not be a functional part of your website. That is not good. Twitter, LinkedIn, CodePen. Okay. We're going to go to CodePen. I'm going to just... That's not a new tab, but I just opened it as a new tab. I think you have projects. Because I think you were someone that mentioned to look at your CodePen. You might have been the same person. Okay, okay. Am I down? Let's see. LinkedIn. Okay, I'm not down. Really? You just have a broken CodePen link, or is CodePen down? What's like the not found page for Code? I almost feel like CodePen's down. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Either my connection is jacked, or CodePen is down, or CodePen doesn't have a clean way of handling not founds or empty or pile. I don't know. CodePen is probably fine. So I'm gonna assume you have a list of projects. You probably, the way you're trying to advertise yourself as a designer and a coder. And those portfolios will have different information depending on who you're attracting. A designer's portfolio typically will it'll provide more transparency into the process of your ideation to something that's tangible. Whether you end up with just some interactive mock-up, or you end up with a static mock-up, or even wireframes, or something simple, even if it's just like content placement and positioning. You're going to be more transparent about like the problem you were trying to solve and how you got to from A to B. With coding, it's a little bit more of what you can do, the functionality. People are going to dive into your implementation decisions, potentially the libraries you use. So you're going to expose different things. So I think having a portfolio as a designer and a coder is a very hard thing to do. It takes time to build something like that up. You can Google different examples, but I think you are almost shooting yourself in the foot by advertising this. Unless you choose to emphasize the type of position or the type of work that you want. If you really want design work, then your portfolio can kind of focus on design and making the process transparent. And if you want to code, you could do that. But I think you need to pick one. Otherwise, you're going to make this very hard on yourself. Now, this kind of looks like you just code, because I just see CodePen. When I think of CodePen, I don't think they've implemented any sort of like design capabilities on that platform or to showcase your designs. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's just projects, right? Just code. So this speaks to you being a coder. So that's kind of what I would lean on. That's what I'm going to assume you're going to lean on. Now, why in the world would people have to go to CodePen to view your projects? You literally have a portfolio page. This is your own website, your own domain, and you are choosing to host your projects. First of all, these are public projects that you've literally written off your consent. They are no longer yours when you upload them to CodePen. I highly recommend you check out some of the terms of that. You are sharing that to the public. The public now the public doesn't own it, but it's basically you're kind of giving away some of your rights. So that's a whole other conversation. But a user should not, like your portfolio projects, a list of them, and information about your portfolio projects and your experience should not have to be chased down to another platform. Bring those projects on here. Showcase those projects. Provide a live link. Provide a link, like make sure you're caught to source control. Provide a link to GitHub, GitLabs, whatever you want to use for source control. Bitbucket as well, I think. And then if you are you're still trying to say, hey, I'm also a designer, I mean, look up kind of different case studies, and you can actually provide something from the actual problem to implementation. And I think that would make a really interesting article or piece of information about that project. But most importantly, live link, probably a screenshot to your project, not probably, definitely, and then a GitHub link, source control link. It doesn't have to be GitHub, just any source control. Oh, use GitHub. Cool. Okay, so I look too fast and I do see dribble. Got it. That makes things more difficult. Okay. Pick one that you want to emphasize. Try to figure out who your real audience is. The simplest way to do it would probably be to put like a section for your designs, and there's more to just showing your designs for a design portfolio. And I almost want to leave that to other experts because I'm not a designer. But I do know that you're going to deliver different information. And then you're also going to have a section for your coding projects. So I think that's it. Bring those projects onto this website. Assuming you have the rights to do that. They should have way more weight over your social media links. I don't know why in the world these are above your portfolio projects. These should be in the footer. Put some social media icons up there. Engineering solutions for meal kit. Are you cold applying? If you're cold applying, like, so if you're putting in your application, then they're looking at your portfolio, this is irrelevant. To me, this isn't really coding experience. If it is, you let your portfolio projects speak to that, or talk about talk about something that not like challenging thing, but just something you love about the coding aspect of your job, or what makes it unique, or like especially in your industry. I don't know, a sentence or two is fine, but I'm just saying this sentence doesn't really speak to the experience that you have to show for coding. Okay, color is really good. Contrast is really good. I think spacing between here and here is a little bit off, but I like the contrast. It's kind of poor. It looks clean and it's kind of poor, but you kept your content pretty short. I almost would lighten this text and use a darker emphasis on your keywords that you're trying to emphasize. I actually think the contrast is pretty poor. I think you can get away with it with this piece. What else? I like the colors. Contrast is okay. It looks pretty clean and minimalist, and I think a lot of people are going to appreciate that. Let's look at your code. So these are your projects. You're not just coding. You have a problem and you're solving it with a full application. So can you even get back to the home page? Okay. So there's no way to access your social media links. I don't think people shouldn't have to click. I think this is your icon. I can't even read that. Is this relevant? Can this be larger? What is that? I think it's probably just your name and that you chose that to be your icon. Either way, a user shouldn't have to click. So it's a pretty standard thing to have this, your main icon, your logo or whatever, link back to the homepage. But I wouldn't assume that, right? So I would assume that you're not actually giving clear, transparent access back to those social media links or any relevant information on that page. So what that tells me is this is irrelevant. If you have no link back to this, this holds very, very little weight, and you are having the user spend way too much time on this page because of it, by putting all of this. So I think ideally you want to link back to this, and it's not going to just be the icon there. Looks very clean. I love this. So this is what I was looking for. I would actually have a link to this. Portfolio, why are they going to CodePen? Just check out your code here. I think this is going to be a little bit more relevant. If you have different projects on CodePen, fine, but it's going to have less emphasis than you solving a problem and going all the way to implementation and building it, what you need to solve that problem. So code, demo, these should all be demos, right? Platform. Unless, you don't have the rights to some of these and they were for different companies. I get that. But in my opinion, you shouldn't even be showcasing them if that's the case. I'm going to assume you know your rights to some of these projects better than I do. So code links to GitHub. I think these are direct links. Probably they shouldn't be. This looks clean overall. It's really simple. I think this is fine. I don't. And then your design projects. You're almost like, so I talked about the differences of like what I would expect with the design portfolio versus a code portfolio. Like your process is actually more important with the design portfolio. You're helping people solve problems more than if you were a developer, in my opinion. I've just, the designers that I've met, they are very knowledgeable about people and UX and just, figuring out exactly what the problem is, outlining it very well, helping other people understand it, and how kind of just bringing in their own experience of how others have solved it, how they've solved it in the past, or trying to eventually kind of get to a process where it solves it in a way that's going to, make the company money and with kind of reasonable effort. But they really understand the psychology of people and the process they use to get to a solution. So that needs to be more transparent. So what I'm really trying to say is you're delivering the same information for design and code, and this is where design and coding profile don't really mesh well. If you're using the same components to describe them. So I would do view project. Okay, that's a Figma file. That's a public Figma. That's probably a little bit more relevant. Do you have notes? Do you have the process at all? Okay, so you just basically have a mock-ups, which is not enough information. Project, property app. I'm actually just going to test this out. So, yep, this is a direct link. You do not want that. What else? Blog. I love this. Whoa, you are inconsistent. November 6th, 2016. July, August. You just said screw it for a few months and went to December. And then you just mass posted. This to me, so this is kind of a tricky thing. And I think it's still worth having this blog. But I would learn to schedule your post out, whether it's once a week, once every 2 weeks, but make it consistent. Show that you are very capable of building a consistent habit in the long term. So you are capable of saying, hey, I'm going to plan out however you want to do it. Like I'm going to plan out the script for my blog. I'm going to schedule them once a week, and I'm going to do this for 3 months. Then I'm going to, reevaluate how often I want to do it or whatever. But like showing consistency with all of your blog posts is really important because that shows a very desirable habit. I think very effective people develop strong, consistent habits in the long term. And to me, it shows you're just like, I don't feel like doing it for a few months, or you're letting life kind of dictate how consistent you're going to be. And that is something that I would immediately think, okay, you definitely have some habits to work on. How is that going to translate into your work ethic? So that's my immediate red flag with this. I think this is extremely inconsistent. I don't think you're building much traffic by being so inconsistent. Google doesn't like this. Most search engines don't like this. So schedule your post out And I think you could provide so much more value and transparency into what you can do, the value you can provide to people through your blog post. Like this kind of gives a window into helping your users build trust with you and figure out like how you do what you do. This pictures. This looks really good. This actually looks really good. You don't have to do a blog post every week. Start off like once a month. Literally, what I like to do is schedule a blog post once a month for 6 months. Cool. I have 6. Well, I usually do it up to 3 months. I do my YouTube videos sometimes like this, but cool. Once a month for 3 months. Okay, I have more to write, so I'm just going to write, and then we'll kind of reevaluate how much I'm going to schedule. So then I make, 5 more posts, and I'm like, you know what, I could probably do 2 to 3 blog posts a month right now. And then I kind of let time dictate how often a good long-term consistency would be for me. Schedule it out. That's what I'm saying. And then this blog is just phenomenal. I love that you put it on here. Let's check out mobile. Hard refresh. No surprises with response times, hopefully. Was that a hard refresh? Yeah. Just had that tagged. Whoa, what? What are you taking a load? Or what are you... Why are you taking so long to load? Hold on. What took so long? It might have been Google Fonts or something like that. Looked like you were using external. Either way, like it looks like it's loading really quickly, and I don't see a bunch of content being jumbled around, so I think that's okay. I think that's fine. Same advice I gave for desktop pretty much applies to mobile. Maybe a tiny bit more vertical spacing, especially when you have this you have these black. They're not black, but they're lighter than the background, but they're still dark. You have dark against dark. Like where does the project end, right? You can kind of assume it's probably after the button, right? I've seen a couple of buttons so far, but when you're doing your first project, it's hard to know, is this a second screenshot to this project? So you could do a couple things. You can lighten this up just a bit, figure out what you want to do with the text, and you might have to adjust some things, or you can create some vertical spacing. I think this dark against this other dark color is not helpful to be able to distinguish that. Cool. All right. I don't think I have anything else to say with this. I think you probably are a good designer. It looks like you are a good designer. I'm not going to actually take a look at the code itself, but I think your attention is split between viewers, between your audience, and I think if you're going to combine design, like a design portfolio and a code portfolio, you have to understand the differences in the type of information that you're going to deliver. And I think you need to do more research into that. Color scheme is really good. It looks pretty clean. I like how it looks. I feel good kind of scrolling through it. I think there were some jarring experiences with what do I even care about on this website? And how do I even get back to the homepage? If I want to contact you or something like that, there's actually no way to contact you or email you. Why is that? Right? But that's probably a common thing. Okay, looked at this. If you're going to have a blog, primarily you really want to take advantage of the SEO advantages you get from that. And you're probably going to attract some sort of audience that might just be looking up portfolios of developers in Chicago, and they found this because of your blog, and there's no way to contact you. Let's assume they figure out how to finally get back to this page. What do I send him a tweet? How professional is that? Do I send him an Instagram? Do I slide into his DMs on Instagram? How do I contact this guy? And so LinkedIn's probably going to be a primary thing, but provide your email. Assume some people might want to just follow up and maybe they don't have your email yet. I think that's what that's lacking. Anything else? No, I think that's it. Really responsive, really fast. I mean, it's pretty simple, but there are no unexpected large latencies with the response times. It looks good. That's it. I want to see more. I want to see how you connect this together. I want to see. I want to see the hopefully a little bit of a change in flow. Figure out what the heck you want to do with the dribble and code pen. Those are going to definitely right now they're highly deprioritized, and I have a feeling that they probably should hold higher priority. So either way, looks good. Great job with this. Best of luck. I hope it attracts who you want it to. All right, see ya.